meeting called to order at 7 p.m. on February 5th, 2020. We'll go ahead and move into roll call. Advet. Oligard. Bender. Blair. Khan. Crab. Colbinson. Dollinger. Fritz. Green. Gonzalez. Hanyang. Easley. Johnson. Class. Klein. Lipford. Ludwig. Mass. Meredith. Mitchell. Origer. Rice. Rinchi. Rolling. Samanu. Schrader. Searles. Stanley. Samuel. Tonette. Zastro. Blair. Fritz. Lipford. Mass. Rinchi. Rolling. Samuel. We'll go ahead and move into Pledge of Allegiance, led by Speaker Colbinson. Since we don't have any programs for tonight, we'll go ahead and move into open forum. Open forum is an open discussion for issues relevant to students. Anyone wishing to speak can approach the lectern.
All right. Yeah, my beard's gone. I'm getting a haircut on Friday, just addressing it now to the student body. I'm going to look a lot different. I have an interview on Monday. All right, thank you.
Hello. For those of you who are watching and don't know who I am, my name is Kate Alucard, and I am the College of Veterinary Medicine Senator. My pronouns are she, her, hers. Some of you guys know, but tonight I am introducing and adding a bill to the agenda to censure the administration of the College of Veterinary Medicine. Last night I worked from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. with several classmates and concerned veterinary students to draft it. There has been a multitude of xenophobic, racist, bigoted events that have transpired in my time here at Iowa State, most recently being this past week. Events this past week alone included transphobia, xenophobia, explicit racism exhibited not only by staff and faculty, but also students. And administration has yet to communicate with the students about these issues and has also failed in communicating how they will work to solve and prevent further injustices and bigoted behavior. Even after specific events led to a small group discussion with administration last semester, nothing specific has come about from these efforts, and students are still feeling attacked and oppressed for who they are. We don't have a lot of time as veterinary students, but we sat for 7.5 hours last night because this matters. There's a lot of work to do at this university, and it is my job as a senator to advocate for my constituents and students that are hurting and heavy-hearted due to the administration's lack of response to issues that matter and affect them. It was only a few months ago we sat through 3 hours of students sharing their tales about the injustices they experience here on this campus. We stood for them, and it is time we stand for a particular group that has reached out now. Remember, just as mentioned in the previous issues of bigotry and racism on this campus, our actions do not just affect those willing to speak out now, they affect those who are unable to do so or who do not feel safe enough to come forward, and those who will never come to Iowa State because of the current campus climate. Next week, there are multiple students who plan on attending open forum to share their stories and to show support of this censorship. Meetings have already been arranged with administration between now and then, but there have been many that have transpired up until this point. The time to act is now, and we must show veterinary medicine that despite being far away and historically disconnected from main campus and student government, that we stand for them now, and we condemn bigotry in all of its forms and demand better from our administration.
Moving on to adopting tonight's agenda. Are there any changes or addition to tonight's agenda? Senator Alucard.
I propose adding the resolution to the bottom of new business 2020-3-11 SR, censoring the College of Veterinary Medicine administration. 2020.
It's 2019. Would you be able to repeat the title of the bill?
It is censuring the CVM administration.
There's been a motion to add 2019-3-11 SR, censuring the CVM administration, to the bottom of new business. And there's been a second. Are there any objections to adding that bill to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, the bill has been added. Senator Alucard, still have the floor. Senator Class.
I move, excuse me, to add 2019-3 an undetermined number, depreciation. Okay, I move to add 2019-3-020F, eliminating the depreciation reserve account to the bottom of new business.
There's been a motion to add 2019-3-20F, eliminating the depreciation reserve account to the bottom of new business. And there's been a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the bill has been added. Senator Class.
I move to add 2019-3-0219, excuse me, 19F, funding Peterson Squadron, to the bottom of new business.
There's been a motion to add 2019-3-19F, funding Peterson Squadron, to the bottom of new business, and there's been a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the bill has been added. Senator Class.
I move to postpone indefinitely 2019-3-013F, funding Iowa State National Society of Minorities in Hospitality.
There's been a motion to postpone 2019-3-13F, funding Iowa State National Society of Minorities in Hospitality, indefinitely, and there's been a second. Are there any objections to postponing that bill indefinitely? Seeing none, the bill has been postponed indefinitely. Senator Class.
I yield.
Speaker Culbertson.
I move to add 2019-3-018F, funding Heroes Week project, to the bottom of new business.
There's been a motion to add 2019-3-18F, funding Heroes Week, to the bottom of new business. And there's been a second. Are there any objections to adding that bill? Seeing none, the bill has been added. Speaker Culbertson. Further changes or additions to tonight's agenda? There's been a motion to move to adopt tonight's agenda, and there's been a second. Are there any objections? Seeing no objections, the agenda has been adopted. Moving on to approval of last week's minutes. Are there any changes to last week's meeting minutes? There's been a motion to move to approve last week's meeting minutes. Is there a second? There's been a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the minute stands approved. Moving on to committee reports, starting off with rules with Madam Speaker.
Rules Committee met Monday at 5, and we didn't have any new bills to look over, so we just went over some more bylaws. That's it.
Questions for Speaker Culbertson? Seeing none, we move down to Finance Committee with Senator Class.
So we saw some clubs. To say why we postponed indefinitely that is because they did not meet some eligibility requirements, so they were funding ineligible. So that's why. There's some stuff on first read this week. the depreciation account, and then also just an FYI, one of the things, the top of new business, we're waiving first and second read tonight. So we'll see PAS student chapter tonight. And that should be it. Annuals. That's all.
Questions for Senator Class? Seeing none, we move on to Student Initiatives Committee with Vice Chair Heasley.
We didn't meet on Monday because the caucus, so we canceled to let everyone do that. So nothing new to report.
Questions for Senator Heasley? Seeing none, we moved on to PR Committee with Senior Director of Communications, Murphy.
Hi, everybody. Hope everyone's doing great. PR committee met yesterday, and PR committee has actually taken on, the members themselves have taken on a lot more responsibility, so shout out to everyone who's in PR committee. But the main things we're doing right now is helping host events with elections coming around the corner. So there's open houses around the corner, the debates, things like that. So if you're interested, you can talk to Mackenzie, Josh, or I. We get you some more details. And then we also have some more events down the road with Valentine's Day, just looking out for students, give them a little pep around campus, and other things like that. One other thing that y'all can all think about is we had an idea from Daniel, one of our members, to come up with a top 10 achievements from student government this year and post them kind of in a not sporadic, but spaced out way. So if there's something you're really passionate that student government has done this year that you think is worth mentioning as one of our top 10 achievements, please email me, Josh, Mackenzie, whoever it might be. We definitely want to let people know what we've been up to. So please let us do that. That's it for me.
Questions for our Senior Director? Seeing none, we moved on to Diversity and Inclusion with our Director of Diversity and Inclusion, Director Hoffman.
Hello, everyone. So this week we met, we talked about Heroes Week and all the amazing work that Hyatt and Alex are doing and all the other members that are kind of putting things forward within that. So shout out to them. We also talked about putting together different posters to get international students and multicultural students involved in student government and just to kind of get them aware. So we're also compiling together a list of questions that they usually have. So if anybody has any big questions that you think maybe students would have that are not always answered, let me know. We're putting together a list right now. We also talked about the U.S. Diversity Committee that I'm on that's reevaluating the credits towards that and the criteria for that. And so I missed the first meeting because of class, but I'm going to get to the second meeting, so I'll try to get you a better update when that comes up. And then the next thing is I put out word for the DACA run. If those of you who don't know, DACA stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. So it's going to be hosted by the Multicultural Student Leadership Council on April 4th. So it's a 5K. So if you want to participate, all of the money is going to a great cause. And if you can't participate, but you would like to, as such as myself, who is not going to run a 5K, you can volunteer. They're asking for a lot of volunteers. And so if you're interested in that, let me know and I will send you the link. I think it'd be a really great way to show solidarity to our students on campus and to help a really great cause. That's it. Thank you.
Questions for Director Hoffman? Seeing none, we moved on to Civic Engagement Committee with our beautiful Senator Tonette.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to speak at the mic today. So Civic Engagement met last week, and we did a little planning for the legislative wake-up. That was last Saturday. That turned out amazing, actually. There wasn't a lot of student participation in it, but I think it was a good event overall, and the food was eaten that you all paid for, so that's a plus. The caucuses were on Monday. I'm sure you all are hearing about the debacle that was, and that we still don't have all the results of that. We are still kind of working on initiatives on teaming up with the DOR. We're trying to set up a program to speak at IRHA to kind of talk about like civic engagement initiatives that we're trying to implement with the DOR. Hopefully we can attract the attention of some of the higher ups with the DOR so they can actually work with us. And then the census is coming up. I should let you all know there's a job posting on Access Plus where if you're going to be here over summer, you can be a census taker for $21 an hour. So it starts like April, goes through June. So definitely if you're going to be here, take a look at that. Yeah.
Questions for our beautiful Senator Tonette? Senator Zastrow.
Senator Tonette, do you have any idea when we'll get the rest of the results?
I think we're at around 85%, 86, yeah, reported right now. So probably after New Hampshire as their primary.
Thank you. I yield.
Yeah.
Further questions? Seeing none, we move down to comments from the executive branch with President Graber.
Hello, everyone. So Cabinet did not meet on Monday because of the caucusing, but we did ask each of the Cabinet members to write a little note on the meeting minutes. So I sent that out to all of you so you can see that. There's two big things. First is elections. So Election Commissioner Rizvich has been really busy working with that. I talked to her, and she will have the results in a timely manner out for everyone. So that was a joke. You can laugh. It's fine. I believe the vice presidential debate is next Tuesday, the February 11th. So be on the lookout for that. And also, if you're running, good luck and congrats on working on that as well. And then the second thing from Cabinet is the Sustainability Committee is introducing a declaration of a climate emergency that you'll see tonight, I believe. So shout out to the Sustainability Committee for that as well. And then the second thing is, if you don't know yet, Dr. Hurt will be leaving, our Dean of Students. He's going to be the new Dr. Harmon at his previous institution, so that's a step up for him, so congrats for him. But that means that we have to then fill that position. So yesterday I met with the consulting group that is helping us with the search committee, and they asked me my input on what we want in the next Dean of Students, and they're going to continue to ask for feedback on that. I believe I'm actually in the interview process, so if you have any feedback on what you want to see out of the next Dean of Students, please let me know. I talked a lot about how the next Dean of Students is going to obviously have to be student-oriented and then have to work a lot with campus climate, because I know that's an important role here at Iowa State. So those are the two things I said, but if there's anything else that you think we should add, let me know, and I can get that to them. And then the last thing is we have a meeting with Provost Wickert on Friday. Vishesh and I will meet with him to talk about the U.S. diversity requirement in more depth. So if you have anything else that you think we should talk to Provost Wickert about, please let us know.
Questions for President Graber? Seeing none, we moved on to external matters. Within external matters, General Orders 2019-3-14F, funding Asian Student Union with Senator Bender.
I move to adopt Finance Committee amendments.
There's been a motion to move to adopt Finance Committee amendments, and there's been a second. We move into discussion. Senator Bender.
Call to question.
There's been a call to question on the amendment, and there's been a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we move into a placard vote. And there's been a call for unanimous consent. Are there any objections in approving the primary amendment by the way of unanimous consent? Seeing none, the amendment stands approved. Senator Bender.
Do you guys want to come up and talk about your organization a little bit?
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ralph, and I'm part of the Asian Student Union. And do you just want to talk? Okay, so the event is called MASU, which stands for Midwestern Asian American Student Union. Is where all the student unions in the Midwest come together in one university to come and share their ideas. And in this conference, a lot of keynote speakers and workshops help build upon students of like Asian Americans, promote their leadership skills, communication skills, and help build, give them the abilities and skills they need to even like branch out and then create more like events to support Asian Americans. So for our funding, we are, this year we are bringing about 50 students to this conference. Last semester, our conference was at Colorado, Boulder, and we were able to bring about 25 people. This year, it is in Minnesota, so it is a lot closer, and we had a good turnout and good experiences from last year's event, so this is why we have more people coming in. And right now, as you can see, that is our budget breakdown of the registration fee for non-member member schools. Is $75 per registration to attend the conference. We are getting 3 vans to help transport the students, and extra students will be able to use their own personal cars. And we're also getting hotels for those students during the conference. So, any questions?
Senator Heasley.
May I address the speaker?
Go ahead.
So what do you guys do for funding? Like what kind of fundraising do you do?
Fundraisings, we've had some fundraisers in previous last semester. Brenda, what kind of fundraisers? Brenda can speak more in depth about these.
Hi, so I'm the secretary for Asian Student Union. So basically, last semester and also this semester, we've held a lot of fundraisers at 1+1 Tea and Restaurant. So it's a bubble tea shop, and then we've collaborated with them like twice last semester, and we're planning to collaborate with them more this semester to raise our funds for that. And also last semester we also had like a bake sale, and like we sold different Asian cuisine as well. And mainly our main source of fundraising funds last semester was from World Cuisine with the International Student Council. So essentially we sold food, and we made food, and then we sold it to the university. So we were able to gather in about like $400 from that. So besides that, we do have other plans, but that was like the main fundraisers. Yeah.
Okay, I was just curious. I mean,
Okay.
you're paying for over
Right.
half yourself, so
Yeah.
I think this is very reasonable. Seems like a good conference and a good use of student fee dollars, so I will call the question.
Second.
There's been a call to question on the bill as a whole, and there's been a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we'll move into a roll call vote. Senator Advet. Olacard. Bender. Blair. Khan. Crab. Culbertson. Dollinger. Green. Gonzalez. Hanyan. Easley. Johnson. Class. Klein. Klein. Lipford. Ludwig. Meredith. Mitchell. Origer. Rice. Samanu. Schrader. Searles. Stanley. Samuel. Tonet. Zastro. With a vote of 27 to 0 to 0, this funding request passes.
Thank you.
Moving on to internal matters. Within internal matters, 2019-3-15F, funding rechargeable batteries for Senate Stream with Senator Hanyoung.
Hi, y'all. So over the course of the year and over the course of having our stream for Senate, we've always used these push-talk microphones. They use 2 AA batteries, and we use an average of 400 to 500 batteries per year, and that includes just replacing them during the middle of Senate streams, and when they sit over in the summer, usually they have to get replaced midway through the first session just because they've been sitting so long. We're the only organization across campus that actually uses these microphones. So the reason why I have this rechargeable batteries bill is because as student government, we should be more sustainable, and this is a great way to do it. The batteries are one of the most wasted kind of assets we use in student government, and to be able to have these would really reduce how much we are changing those batteries and then throwing them away.
For their discussion. There's been a call to question on the bill as a whole, and there's been a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move into a roll call voting. Advet. Olacard. Bender. Blair. Khan. Crab. Culbertson. Dollinger. Green. Gonzalez. Hanyoung. Heasley. Johnson. Class. Klein. Ludwig, Meredith, Mitchell, Orger, Rice, Samanu, Schrader, Searles, Stanley, Samuel, Tonet, Zastro, Samanu. With a vote of 27 to 0 to 0, this funding request passes. Moving on to 2019-3-7 SC, seating a senator on the Diversity and Inclusion Committee with Senator Klein.
Yeah, so we can have 3 members now. So it's kind of weird that we have 2. So we decided that Eliana would be an excellent choice, and I'll let her. You want to take the? Back.
Hello. What would you like me to say?
If you just want to introduce yourself
Okay.
and talk about why you're interested in joining the Diversity and Inclusion Committee.
Okay, my name's Eliana Crab. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I've been doing a couple of meetings with the Diversity and Inclusion Committee since I kind of started the whole Senate thing, and it's kind of like my little home right now. I just haven't officially been introduced into it. I'm really enjoying a lot of the projects we're doing within diversity and inclusion. One thing that I really take of importance is I can do a lot for this community, but also there's so many things I'm learning within those individual members, and so I used to be able to tell my friends, I'm like, I learned this today, and that's something I don't get to do if I'm not part of this committee. So it's just really cool, just telling my mom this is what I learned today, and just being able to individually teach people is sometimes a little bit feels a little bit bigger than doing some of these projects sometimes in my eyes. But yeah, that's why I really enjoy it and want to be part of it.
Question, Senator Searles.
I think that was great. Call the question.
There's been a call to question on the bill as a whole, and there's been a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we'll move into a roll call vote, and there's been a call for unanimous consent. Are there any objections in approving the nominee by the way of unanimous consent? Seeing none, congratulations. Moving on, since we don't have any general orders, we directly move into new business. 2019-3-16F, funding PAS student chapter with Senator Bender.
Title. Move to waive first read.
Second read. There's been a motion to move to waive second read, and there's been a second. Are there any objections in waiving second read? Seeing none, the second read has been waived. Senator Bender.
Also, can I move to adopt Finance Committee amendments?
There's been a motion to move to adopt Finance Committee amendments, and there's been a second. Go ahead and move into discussion. Senator Bender.
Called question. Oh, wait. Oh.
Yes. There's been a call to question on the primary amendment, and there's been a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we'll move into a placard vote, and there's been a call for unanimous consent. Are there any objections in approving the amendment by the way of unanimous consent? Seeing none, the amendment stands approved. Senator Bender.
Okay, can you talk about your organization and why you need funding?
Okay, so our organization is PAS, stands for Professional Ag Students. It's a fairly new organization, started 3 years ago. Our first year we had 8 students, and this year we have 35. And the funding goes for our state and then our national conference. State conference actually just started today and tomorrow, and then national conference I believe is in 2 months.
Questions? Further discussion? Senator Heasley.
May I address the speaker?
Yes, go ahead.
So what kind of funding do you guys do for your club?
Like right now.
Thank you. Sorry. Go ahead. I apologize. apologize.
Would you be able to repeat the question to the speaker?
Yeah. What fundraising did your club do? I'm sorry.
Okay. Right now, we just have funding from private donors, and then we did a Panda Express fundraiser, and we're going to do a tropical smoothie fundraiser, I believe, in the summer.
Okay. And then what all are you going to be doing at this conference?
Okay,
Sorry, contest.
Which one, the state or nationals, or both?
Both.
Okay. The state one, if you place good enough in state, you move on to nationals, and on the state and national, there's just different competitions, mainly on the egg side of things, but it could be anywhere from employment interview, beef science, crops contest, farm business management, all different types of contests depending on what your interests are, and competing in those and competing against other schools and going up against them.
Alrighty. Well, that sounds awesome. So I'm going to call the question.
There's been a call to question. There's been a second. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we'll move into a roll call vote. Senator Advet. Olicard.
Yes.
Bender.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Hahn.
Yes.
Crab. Cloverton. Dollinger. Green. Gonzalez. Anyang. Heasley. Johnson. Class. Klein. Klein. Ludwig. Meredith. Mitchell. Orger. Rice. Samanu. Schrader. Cyril. Stanley. Samuel. Burnett. Zastro. Advet. With a vote of 27 to 0 to 0, this funding request passes. There has been a motion to move to add Senator Fritz to the roll call. Is there an objection? Seeing none, Senator Fritz has been added to the roll call. Senator Fritz. Moving on to 2019-317F, funding Taiwanese Student Association with Senator Class.
Title. We'll see this in finance next week.
Questions of intent? Seeing none, we'll see this one next week. Moving on to 2019-3-008SR, Declaration of Climate Emergency with Senator Olicard.
Title. Object. Move to waive second read.
There's been a motion to move to waive second read. And there's been a second. Are there any objections?
Object.
There's been an objection. We move into discussion for 10 minutes, whether we waive second read or not with Senator Olicard.
I believe Senator Schrader wants me to withdraw my objection. I have a question as to what I'm doing wrong.
I'm just curious why you want to waive second read, if you could explain the reasoning.
I'm going to yield my time to Sustainability Chair Izzy Wild.
So given that this bill is referring to a climate emergency, implying that it is an emergency, I would like to waive second read. But if senators want more time to look over the bill and be able to read it more fully, then that's our reasoning.
And to add on that, we are the only Regent University, to my knowledge, that currently has not declared a climate emergency.
Do you?
I yield.
Vice Speaker Schrader.
Yeah, sorry, there's just a lot of facts in here, and I like going through the enacted clause, especially the part about trying to get rid of natural gas as well as coal. I would like to do my research about how much cleaner natural gas is than coal, and I don't feel prepared to vote on that right now. So, sorry, but I would like to wait a week so I can make sure I can research that and so I can feel comfortable voting on it.
Do you? Senator Ludwig.
Yeah, I also agree. I think we should wait a week. I mean, I've read through the bill, but I think, I mean, there's a lot of different whereas and enacted classes, like my speaker Schrader said, and I think, sorry, whereas and resolved classes. And I think it's better if we take our time with this rather than rushing through it. So I would rather us just wait a week. So I yield.
I withdraw my motion to waive second read.
Senator has withdrawn their motion. Moving on. Are there any questions of intent before I move on? Seeing none, we move on to 2019-3-009SZ, ranked choice voting for student government elections with Senator Ludwig.
Title. Yeah, so this is a amendment to the Constitution to add ranked choice voting, or convert to ranked choice voting. I'm sure we'll have a lot of discussion on this one next week. I think it's generally a good idea, but I have some thoughts about amendments as well, so I'm open to discussion, so yeah.
Questions of intent? Seeing none, we'll see this one next week. Moving on to 2019-3-10Y, instituting ranked choice voting for executive student government elections with Senator Ludwig.
Title? Yeah, these are just the related bylaws to the constitutional amendment. So obviously dependent on the amendment passing. So.
Questions of intent? Seeing none, we'll see this one next week. Moving on to 2019-3-11SR, censuring the CVM administration with Senator Laudercard.
Title. Object. It's okay. This is a lengthy document, and I can't guarantee that any of you guys will read it, so if I at least say it in front of you, that is how I guarantee it. Whereas Iowa State University is a land-grant institution and was founded on the notion of inclusivity with a long-standing history of diversity, with Iowa State University's College of Veterinary Medicine, founded in 1879 as the country's first public veterinary school, there are currently 600 roughly DVM students, roughly 150 grad students, and over 155 faculty. And whereas there's an overwhelming lack of diversity and inclusion at Iowa State CVM that has remained stagnant over the years except in the face of student pressure, and whereas in a 2017 AAVMC internal report, Iowa State CVM had a 7.4% racially and ethnically underrepresented students in their population. The U.S. total was 17.4% at that time. And whereas other leading CVMs have higher percentages of racially and ethnically underrepresented students, in the same 2017 report, Iowa State ranked second lowest amongst Midwestern veterinary schools. Iowa State CVM only has a higher percentage of racially and ethnically underrepresented students than Missouri at 7.2% regionally, along with having the third lowest percentage nationally, being above Missouri and Mississippi. And whereas with the overwhelming lack of diversity and inclusion, there have been documented and reported events of bigotry, racism, xenophobia, and other injustices at CVM, separate from those events that have occurred on Iowa State's main campus. And whereas, in response to anti-LGBTQIA sentiment and other campus climate issues, CVM Dean Dan Grooms responded with an email in October 2019 regarding the bigoted behavior occurring on main campus, being one of the few deans amongst the university to acknowledge what was going on. CVM Associate Dean of Academic and Student Affairs, Dr. Jared Danielson, and Dr. Monica Howard, Director of Student Programs, initially made a public effort to attend campus climate talks on main campus at the time and continue to be advocates within administration for students of marginalized identities. And whereas a select few CVM student leaders have continued pressing administration in order to try and address prejudiced, bigoted, and oppressive behavior occurring on both main campus and CVM, whereas the topics of concern have yet to be addressed directly to the student body outside one campus climate conversation in December 2019 that involved some administrators and members of Iowa State PD engagement and inclusion team facilitating discourse about campus climate concerns. And whereas at the above campus climate conversation, the Assistant Dean of Academic and Student Affairs expressed concern for Iowa State CVM's reputation without addressing improvement efforts to campus climate. Emphasizing effects on recruitment and invalidated those impacted by racist behaviors. The assistant dean also expressed a desire to cover up racist and bigoted behaviors at CVM, incidents at CVM, as he stated the events could upset people. However, without speaking about bigoted events, there is no way to actually address them. And whereas, despite it being a violation of the CVM Honor Code, students, including student leaders of the CVM community, have exhibited extremely prejudiced behaviors, many of which have documentation that can or already have been provided to administration. Many of these behaviors were racist, xenophobic, transphobic, homophobic, and anti-Semitic in nature. And whereas recent global events, including the novel coronavirus of 2019, and the current political climate of the United States has led to more overt, prejudiced, and bigoted behavior amongst students. And whereas CVM staff and faculty have also demonstrated prejudicial sentiments, including transphobic and ableist comments, increasingly as the current academic year progresses. And whereas in response to drawing attention to prejudiced and bigoted behavior, tone policing and silencing have been attempted by various student leaders, while further derogatory content has continued to be shared and behaviors have continued. And whereas while Dean Grooms was sent to a diversity and inclusion workshop, such as white men as full diversity partners prior to the start of the spring 2020 semester, and some staff and faculty have completed the professional certificate program through Purdue University Center of Excellence for Diversity and Inclusion in Veterinary Medicine, the majority of administration and staff and faculty continue to be dismissive of feedback from students regarding the behavior and are more complicit in their response to racism, bigotry, and exclusion of marginalized identities at CVM. And whereas the above list is not an exhaustive one of the incidents and efforts occurring at CVM, but is apparent that despite the effort being made by student leaders and advocates, the administration of CVM has grown complacent in their response to bigotry and campus climate issues. And research has shown that organizations that implement diversity training in a holistic and integrative way achieve more positive human resource outcomes than those that implement standalone initiatives. And whereas the Iowa State CVM will be an iScore Iowa State Conference on Race and Ethnicity champion on March 6, 2020, the Thomas L. Hill Iowa State Conference on Race and Ethnicity is the university's comprehensive forum on issues of race and ethnicity that provides an ongoing platform of sharing and applying new knowledge through presentations and workshop. And whereas as one of the 2 selected colleges to champion for iScore, the CVM must lead by example and address current campus climate issues head-on, not their current apathetic response. And whereas there is nothing specific about how diversity and inclusion is being improved at CVM on their webpage, despite undergoing an evaluation and receiving a public report of the current diversity and inclusion status on campus by Dr. Hilda Maya Abreu, Associate Dean of Admissions, Student Life, and Inclusivity in Michigan State University's College of Veterinary Medicine. And whereas it should not fall on the students exclusively affected by these events to have to advocate for themselves to be in an environment that is safe, respectful, and free of bigotry, making marginalized individuals the point people for all things diversity is inequitable and puts pressure on an already burdened group of individuals. And whereas racism and bigotry have no place or protection on campus, as both violate the university's principles of community, and with the prolific and public incidents of prejudiced behavior on both Iowa State main campus and Iowa State CVM, action must be taken to address the current climate. And whereas student government in the past has condemned the lack of response by administrators and associated departments in the face of bigotry and racism, and whereas by censuring the College of Veterinary Medicine administration, this will push forth productive dialogue and force CVM and university action. Be it therefore resolved that Iowa State College of Veterinary Medicine be censured for these failures, and be it further resolved that Iowa State CVM administration considers the demands presented by students addressed to the administration in response to the current climate, and be it further resolved that student government recommends the changes stated in the following clauses, and be it further resolved that Iowa State CVM administration commits to changing the face of veterinary medicine by contributing to inclusive work and learning environments where everyone can reach their full potential, and be it further resolved that the high expectation for professionalism and respect within the CVM community be applied to all participants of the college, including students, administration, faculty, and staff. And be it further resolved that Iowa State CVM administration establish policies that enforce a consistent response or acknowledgement time for all incidences to impacted parties, regardless of the status of a solution.
And be it further resolved that the CVM administration mirror the university administration in that further correspondences be direct and specific when addressing attacks upon marginalized communities. And be it further resolved that the CVM administration review existing policies of other colleges and schools of veterinary medicine regarding diversity and inclusion, as well as enforcement of accountability amongst staff, faculty, and students. And be it further resolved that the CVM administration implement policies that go above and beyond the university's code of conduct and actively prohibit forms of hate speech or any other behavior that may disrupt the learning environment of the CVM. And be it further resolved that student government invite the CVM administration to exceed the recommendations proposed by student government in this resolution and continue working with the student population to find further solutions to problems affecting the community. And be it further resolved that this resolution be sent to Division of Student Affairs, including Senior Vice President of Student Affairs, Dr. Martino Harmon, Nikki Port, the Iowa State Center Director, Brad Frailfer, sorry if I just butchered their last name, and Assistant Director Chelsea Miller Bailey, Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion, Dr. Reginald Stewart, Dr. Stephen J. Julesgaard, Dean of Veterinary Medicine, Dan Grooms, Dr. Jared Danielson, Assistant Dean of Academic and Student Affairs, Dr. Alex Ramirez, Dr. Heather Greenlee, Dr. Monica Howard, CVM Director of Curricular Assessment and Teaching Support, Dr. Courtney Vangren, CVM Coordinator of Admissions, Kathy Kuhl, the CVM Administration Admissions Committee, all faculty and staff of Iowa State CVM, and President of Iowa State University, Dr. Wendy Winterstein. I yield.
Questions of intent? Seeing none, we'll see this one next week. Moving on to 2019-3-20F, eliminating the depreciation reserve account with Senator Class.
Title. Yeah, if you saw in Madison's update, this account has been used for 3 years. We're moving to a new system to keep track of some of these things. And IT, like just campus-wide, is also kind of moving to do that, so we're kind of following their lead. So that's why we're going to get rid of this. It's going to go into special projects, and I yield.
Questions of intent? Seeing none, we'll see this one next week. Moving on to 2019-3-19F, funding Peterson Squadrons with Senator Class.
Title. Yep, this is a club. We'll see them in finance next week.
Questions of intent? Seeing none, we'll see this one next week. Moving on to 2019-3-18F, funding Heroes Week with Speaker Culbertson.
Title. Fabulous. Okay, this is the Heroes Week bill that Senator Samuel and Senator Rowling and so many others have been working so hard on, so you will hear from them next week.
Questions of intent? Seeing none, we'll see this one next week. Closing announcements. Senator Ludwig.
All right. First, I want to take some time. I think it's important to congratulate each other when there are big achievements, when there's momentous occasions. Last night, Dunking for Democracy played in their second prelim game, and now we lost by 21 points. And that alone is, of course, cause for celebration. So continue clapping if you want. But above all, I would like to personally congratulate the hero of the team, Senator Stanley, for scoring points in that game. Of course, he scored for the other team. But nonetheless, a valiant effort, and I would like us all to just, understand how great Senator Stanley is and really just thank him for his great contribution to the team. And yeah, so in other news, we've got some lectures coming up. I like that. See, there's energy around this now. All right, tomorrow at 7 p.m. in the Great Hall, a rewarding career at the Mayo with Dr. Kainan An. I think I said that right. I probably didn't, so I apologize. That's tomorrow. Then on the 14th of February at 1 p.m., the Women's Hour, The Great Fight to Win the Vote with Elaine Wace. It's in the Great Hall here in the Memorial Union. I believe that's a part of the Centennial event here at Iowa State. So that's a really good one. I think I've bugged you guys about it a couple times before. Really looking forward to it. I really recommend you go. It's going to be a good one. And then again, just slightly farther out on the 17th at 7 in the Sunroom is Managing Risk in a More Uncertain World, What We Can Learn from Surfers, Studs, and Sex Workers with Allison Schrager. That one looks pretty interesting. So yeah, those are kind of the snapshot of the ones that are coming up. The rest are kind of on the farther end of February, so I'll start bugging you guys about those ones later. But yeah, get out, see some lectures. And when you're walking around after Senate, give Senator Stanley a high five for his great contributions to the team.
I yield. Senator Green.
Okay, y'all, so I'm sure you all know, but next Tuesday on the 11th is the VP debate. It is also Josh's birthday, so let's all get out there and watch him and sing happy birthday to him and make him get all red. Oh, yeah, well, yes, I meant mostly for the, okay, that, yeah. You all know what I meant, okay? Let's not make it a thing.
Senator Han Young.
Okay, just for the record, I am not the only person there. It's also Vice Speaker Schrader and Daniel Eisenstein. So please attend for all three of us. Ask some good questions. That's all. The concerts this weekend. Sorry, that's what I was originally going to say. There is Honor Band and Honor Choir this weekend at both Music Hall and then over in the Iowa State Center for performing. So if you were once high school performance, either in band or choir, you want to kind of relive some of those students seeing our campus for the first time and welcome them in. Be great. The band performance is it's $5 for students, and then the choir performance, there's one on Sunday and then one on Monday, both at 7 p.m. That will showcase all of the choirs, so Statesman, Kantamus, Iowa State Singers, and those are all free. So those will be at Music Hall. So check those out.
Senator Fritz.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. So the Collegiate Panhellenic Council will be hosting the continuous open bidding fair on February 11th in the Pioneer Room from 7 to 9 p.m. So if anyone you know is interested in joining a sorority, that's when they can go check that out. So just thought I'd give that the plug.
Senator Zastro.
All right, howdy y'all. First of all, Senator Alcard and Director of Sustainability Wild, both of you guys introduced resolutions with footnotes. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Way to go. Really excited to go through those. I appreciate the detail that you put into both of those, and I'm excited to talk about that more next week. Number two, stay healthy. I'm getting a little sick. Y'all can probably hear it. Number three, thank you for caucusing, participating in democracy. Your votes may not have been counted yet, but they will be counted. And lastly, that DACA 5K, I'll be there, but not for too long. Race me, bro. We'll see. Maybe we can have a 5K team for the DACA 5K, supporting a good time and seeing who's the fastest senator. I yield.
Senator Searles.
I've only ever run one other 5K, but I'm confident that I could crush Senator Zastro. It's my white male entitlement speaking right there. I just wanted to mine are never fun or funny, except for maybe that, but we have two very important pieces, not every piece of legislation is important, but two very lengthy and important documents that I'm both of which I'm heavily in support of. I believe my name is on both documents too, so heavily in support of. I'm just trying to encourage y'all to go through those, go through the footnotes. The censure is incredibly important. There's been more than enough time to correct these mistakes and to actively work to prevent future mistakes from happening, and it hasn't happened. We've already had this discussion, and it seems that we'll keep having it, so incredibly important to get that statement from the students. The climate emergency, this is what I live for, folks. I will be bringing my paleoclimatology textbook and putting it in the office. Feel free to read that. If you have any questions, let me know. my advisor is cited in that textbook, and I'm sure I could just go straight to the source and get some of this cleared up for you. If you want some resources up until then, the IPCC is great, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. If you want some more sources for that, Dr. Bill Gutowski, who's a professor here, is a member of that. I will come armed with information and facts because this is what I study, this is what I do. So let's do it. It is well beyond time to declare that. I'd also like to give a shout out Senator Alucard for reading that, the resolution. That's long, powerful, hard to get through emotionally. And also, the batteries thing is just awesome, so I just want to give a shout out. Not one for much recognition, but that's a great green initiative. That's it, I yield.
Senator Tonet.
Yeah, I'm not beautiful anymore. All right, so Senator Ludwig talked about the 100th year anniversary of the Women's Suffrage Amendment a little bit with the lectures program update, but I kind of just wanted to come back to that. It's not just a one program type thing. It's kind of like a day-long celebration. So it's on February 14th. At 11:30 a.m., they're putting on the PBS premiere of the Carrie Chapman Catt Woman Warrior biographical documentary in the Sunroom. And then at noon, there's going to be a concert on Central Campus. Oh, wait, Campanile concert. That makes more sense. Campanile concert on Central Campus. And then 1 p.m. to 2:15 p.m. is the lecture, the Women's Hour, The Great Fight to Win the Vote. That's in the Great Hall. And then 2:30 to 3:15 p.m. is a performance, The Yellow Rose of Suffrage. And that's in the Great Hall. Looks like all these things are in the Great Hall. But it goes until 6:30 p.m. So 11:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. on that February 14th. So that's going to be a really cool event. I got an email about it 12 hours ago from the Cat Center. I don't know if you all got it too. If you're curious, I can forward it on to you. But yeah, it's on February 14th, and the 19th Amendment is obviously a very important thing in our country. It gave women the right to vote, which a lot of people struggled for decades for that to happen. So that was, a very important part of our history. So it's going to be a really important celebration.
Sarah Klein.
Hey, everybody. So as Elena mentioned earlier, we've been working really hard on Heroes Week. And actually, I think that there's something in here, or something everyone in here can do to help make the event even better. We are looking for student leaders to tell their stories. Specifically, we're looking to have videos of student leaders talking during the period of 7:30 to 8 on the first 4 days of our event. Basically, what we'd want you to do is to record a video. We have a videographer, so you guys can reach out to me, Elena, or Hyatt to set up a time to do that. But we want you to tell a story about how you have personally faced adversity because of an identity that you hold, because of something regarding your socioeconomic status, anything. I guarantee everybody in this room has faced adversity at one point or another, in some regards. And so I encourage all of you to speak out so that other students can be empowered by your stories, and so that way they can take your advice in stride. That's all I have.
Senator Stanley.
Okay, I just want to set the record straight here. My name is being maligned. I would just like you all to know that I played lockdown defense all night. I was on the court for 25 of the 40 minutes we played, and the people I was marking, we played man defense. The people I was marking scored 7 points on 33% shooting. So if that's not lockdown defense, I don't know what is. Thank you. I'm not great on the offensive side of things, but I'll work on that for next week. I did score 2 points, yes, but next week, hopefully I'll score more, and for our team this time. Getting a little more serious, I should like to congratulate the people who wrote the 2 resolutions that we saw today. They were both very well written, and I appreciated seeing and hearing both of them, and I look forward to doing my research on both of them and educating myself about the issues that they deal with. Finally, I would like to ask my mentees to come talk to me after the meeting. You are all in trouble, and I will be introducing the bills for your removal next week. I yield.
Senator Heasley.
So I'm kind of curious, out of those 7 points, which ones did you score?
I don't understand the question.
Vice Speaker Schroeder.
The record show I appreciate everyone that joined for democracy and the effort they put out. Even Senators Crabb and Bender, who came to cheer on the team, which was very nice of them. So thank you. We'll be, after the VP debate, we have our next prelim, so we'll try and keep answers short for y'all so we can get out there. Just kidding. We'll see where it goes. Keep your mentor-mentee. Congrats to Senator Mast and Senators Heasley for getting their mentor-mentee meetings done. You got a week and a half to do the rest of them for everybody else. And I think that's all I have. Go Pacers.
Speaker Culbertson. No.
Okay, so I first wanted to point something out that I do count as a senator, so I will blow you all away at the DACA 4K. Just saying. Second, I wanted to say, please, please, please keep the office clean. We are very, very lucky to have the office space, have the appliances that we do. So I really want us all to work on keeping that clean. So if you use something, wipe it off, clean it down. If you have food, make sure to throw it away, put your trays away, stuff like that. Please, please, please. Thank you. And then lastly, I wanted to say that we only have 6 meetings left as a Senate, which is just wild. So I know that... Oh, get more? Okay, sure. Yeah, I can make that happen. But I just wanted to say, I know that things get long and tiring, especially in winter when it's just gray and dark. But just keep in mind that we just have those 6 left. So make sure you're pushing hard and finishing strong. Okay, go Cyclones. Move to adjourn.
Objections?